Welcome back to our channel. My name is Jumoke Wynn, and I am one half of WynnAtLove, and here we coach Christian women to meet, date, and marry eligible Christian men. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, make sure that you do subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get more notifications. So today I'm going to break down for you ladies 3 strategies that you can take when it comes to dating for marriage in this 2024 going into 2025 dating climate. Now, before we get into that, before we get into the 3 strategies, 3 very important strategies that you can take, I think it's important to clear up a few things. One, when we're talking about dating in WynnAtLove, we are talking about an umbrella term for anyone who is not choosing to be single and celibate, right? Celibacy is a gift. Celibacy means to be single and sexless for life. You're abstaining from marriage, right? And those who are not married. So if you desire marriage but you're not yet married, you are in the in between, right? You are maybe you know or you don't know, but you could be considered on the dating market. Now, if you are on the dating market, there are 3 subsets on the dating market that I want to refresh your memory, and then we're going to go into the 3 strategies that you can take so that you can get married sooner rather than later. So the first subset, I know, look at me, I got a board, y'all. So the first subset, so this is the dating market. Oops. The dating Okay, so in these 3 subsets, the first I would consider, this is how I conceptualize the dating market. Hopefully it helps you out. The first is the hookup market, okay? There's the hookup market. And then we would have what I consider the relationship market. Okay, and I'm going to go over each of these in a second. Then the last, I would say, is the date to marry market. Okay, so these are the 3 subcategories of the overall dating market. Now, when it comes to the hookup market, this is where you have a lot of short-term romantic interests. Okay, think about in the world, they call it friends with benefits, they call it hooking up, one night stand, casual sex. Obviously, in Christianity, we know we're not supposed to do those things, but you never know where someone is in their walk, and they might think that that is okay, and they have not caught the revelation of sexual purity. Now, here is where most men will never be seen with a woman quite publicly, right? So, a lot of men may want sex or access to women, but they are not necessarily looking for commitment. Okay, they are just looking for a fun time, but not a long time. And how this looks like in Christianity, right? When it comes to Christian men, I would not say that Christian men are trying to hook up with Christian women. Obviously not. Most of us know that that is something that we should not be engaging in. But how this looks is just men entertaining you for access, right? They're not committing to you, they're not taking you on dates, they're liking your stories, they are talking to, maybe you guys are texting, having conversations, and you are in limbo for a long time. This is what we would consider situationships, okay? Situationships are here. Maybe one day I might label it something different. I just don't know in the context of Christianity what the equivalent would be. I just know in the world this is what they do. But in Christianity, what we do is situationships. It's like, oh, that's my friend, right? That's my friend. Okay, this is your friend, but there's never any formal commitment, and it doesn't lead to marriage. Okay, so I would say I don't think that every man does this intentionally. I just think that a lot of men know that they are not in the market for commitment, let alone marriage. So what they do instead is they accept the next best thing, which is access to women who allow them access. And if you ever have a brother in Christ and you guys are talking and getting on, but he doesn't take you on dates. You guys are just talking and talking. You're really not sure where you're at. You're kind of in limbo. Then this is where he would be. He's not looking for a girlfriend. He probably knows that, hey, I am not in the place to take a woman seriously, but I'm still a man and I want that access to femininity. I want access to women. People are lonely, so people do things for different reasons, but that is what we consider the hookup market. Again, maybe I'll change the name later down the line. Now, the next market subsection of the dating market is the relationship market. Now, let me preface by saying that I'm not saying that people who get into relationships don't get married. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I am saying that there are men who are not in the market for marriage, but they settle for a relationship. Okay, and let me say this as well, that a man is a man by any other name. Okay, so whether he's in the world or he's in the church, men usually operate similarly. It just looks differently based on the context. So this is what I will call men who are looking for placeholders, right? They're not looking for wives, but again, they want that access to femininity. This is what these two have in common. And instead of trying to look for a spouse, right, or actively looking for a spouse, they are just looking for someone to fill in the time, fill in the gap, because it is a lot of work and energy to go out and find a woman that gives you access. So what most men do, they will lock down a woman that they know that they don't want to marry, and they don't want to marry anytime soon, but they will lock her down and they just keep spending time with each other. And after 5 years, when he has finally built himself up or he feels more confident as a man, then he moves on. This ends, and then he goes to find his wife. This happens all the time, whether in the Christian community or in the world. This happens a lot. You have a man with a woman, but he is not in a place to marry. So what do? They just waste a lot of time. Now, they may end up getting married, but if he was not talking about marriage from the onset, or he was not talking about future plans with you from the onset, then more than likely you were just a placeholder. If a man is not speaking about the future with you within 6 months of knowing you and getting to know you, dating you, having access to you so that he can vet you, then he's probably just not that into you, even if he commits to you. Yes, Christian men do this too. Men are men. Okay, so you just have to know the signs and know what you are getting yourself into. Okay, so just be aware, be mindful that it can happen in either context, right? Now, when it comes to the date to marry market, this is the market where men are looking for wives and wives are looking for husbands. Okay, so, or women are looking for husbands rather. This market has more intentionality. This is where both people know, like, hey, we actually are marriage minded. We want to plan our lives. We're ready to settle down. We're in that stage of our life that we want to move forward. Okay, now let me preface by saying this too. I feel like I keep saying that. But being on the date to marry market doesn't mean that you're going to get married in 6 months. I know that my husband and I, we got married in 6 months, and I try to tell women to not expect that, because that is the exception and not the rule. Most people get to know each other for a while before they actually jump through that hoop and make the ultimate commitment, which is marriage. So you shouldn't expect every man who is on this market to marry a woman within 6 months. That is not really how most men operate. This is a very exceptional case, okay? Exceptional case. But I do think 12 to 18 months of dating, I do think that is a more realistic timeline for this demographic. I think after 2 years, it really starts to get into, okay, what are you people doing, right? For the most part. I know we're going to, again, the exception of, oh, but they were abstinent. Like, okay, they were abstinent, but that is usually the exception to the rule and not the rule itself. Usually after 2 years, people are going to be tempted, people are going to be fornicating, so it's just better to go to the courthouse and get married and honor God in your union. Amen? So now let us talk about the 3 strategies to date to marry in 2025. Let's just say 2025, okay? So there are three main strategies. Actually, I'll just leave the line. Okay, so the first strategy, if you want to get married relatively soon and you want to position yourself on the date to marry market, the first thing you can do is accept. Okay, is accept. And I will talk about what each of these things mean. Okay, then it is chase. Okay, and the last strategy will be to level up. Okay, so when my husband and I, let me just hold this. When my husband and I, when we are coaching our clients, a big thing that we try to understand is, what is a woman's vision? What is their timeline? What do they expect from this journey? It's important for you to be honest with yourself as a woman as a base point, because if you are lying to yourself that, oh, I'm okay with this, or oh, it's fine, and I don't care about this, and I don't care about that, and when a man, and this happens more often than you think, a man shows up that meets all your standards, but these few things that you said you didn't care for, you don't have those things, and then you reject this man. So it's important to be honest with what you want and what you're looking for, and then adjust your expectations and strategies, so that you are able to get what you want in a reasonable amount of time. So accept, all right, accept. When I say accept, I'm talking about accept men who are on your level. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, because I think for a lot of women, we really don't understand what's really on the dating market. I think a lot of us are disillusioned by choice, and we think that there's always something better. There's always something better, because that's our hypergamy at play. But you usually know the level that you're at and that the level you're working with based on the type of men who you attract naturally. We hear a lot of women say, oh, I attract men, but I'm not attracted to them. Or I meet men, but I'm not attracted to them. I'm not attracted to them. I'm not attracted to them. And on the surface, because women have been taught, oh, you're a 10 and everyone's a 10 and you deserve better and you're special and men are not and men suck. And, we hear all these different things because we see better options with our visual eyes. We see men who are more handsome. We see men who are more successful. We think that we have access to those men, but that is not actually the case, because that man may not be looking for a woman like you. And this kind of is touchy for some women, because then it brings into hierarchy and competition, and we don't like to think about those things, which we don't have to get too in the weeds of that. But I would say that if you are already attracting a certain type of man, then that is your character. If you are not attracting men of that maybe socioeconomic class, then perhaps that is not your level, right? And I know that might feel offensive, but it's like, I'm not the one who's making up your experiences. If that's your experience, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just the data that we have, that these are the type of men who approach you, and you're like, oh, I don't think that they're attractive, and you might think that you look so much better than them. But if you look so much better than them, then you will be attracting men who are on the higher end of the totem pole. But since you're not, this is your level. And it's not bad, because I think most of us as women, most people in the world, the majority of the world's population is actually average looking. Because of social media, we see more people, we see more beautiful people, and we think that the number of beautiful people exist in the world. That may not be the case. It may be a smaller portion of people who match all those criteria. So what you can do if you want to date and marry in 12 to 18 months, a strategy you can take is to accept the men who are at your level. Because the men at your level, you can probably find good men. It's just most women, they want a fantasy. They want status. They want to say that I snatched the hot guy. The guy that all these women wanted me. And therefore, here we are, and we were able to, get married and he's mine. However, you have to take into account your level and what you're attracting, because that might make you wait longer for marriage than you actually want to. So accept the men who are at your level. Have this type of vision. If you see that he's an okay looking guy, he's an average looking guy, and you're like, oh, but I want the hot guy, you can always transform him into a hot guy. For a lot of guys, they just need an image consultant. I mean, if you've heard about the black wife effect on social media, you might know what I'm talking about, that black woman marries someone who's non-black and she just upgrades him. So really think, does he just need an image consultant? Does he need a haircut? Does he need a new wardrobe? Does he need to just be upgraded? Things that I can just buy him clothes and here you go. I know a lot of women, they know that their husbands can't style, so they're the ones who are in charge of the wardrobe and the dressing. That is an option, but I think this has the highest rate of success. This right here, if you want to get married, okay, not a girlfriend, not in a situationship for 10 years, if you want to get married relatively quickly, I would say open yourself up to men that you are already attracting. Because the issue with accept is that unless if a man is super attractive, most women don't notice him. So if you are already attracting men who are more average and you're like, oh my God, for a lot of women, we are slow burners. And after getting to know a man and being more familiar with him, then we're like, oh my gosh, I never realized that he had a cute button nose or something, right? So give this a chance. Just open yourself up. You don't have to commit. And I would say, give it about 3 dates, right? If you meet a man who is great, he's an amazing man, meets all of your standards, but he's not the most attractive, he's not the tallest, he's not the richest, I would say go on at least 3 dates and see if the desire for him grows. Okay, so that is accept. That is a strategy that you can take. The next strategy that you can take is chase. You can chase after what you want. So what does this look like? This looks like a woman who has an entire list, right, of the type of man that she wants to be with, that he is like this, he's handsome, he's rich, he's and she has an entire list for what she wants in a man. And a lot of women, because they have this negative connotation of having lists, a lot of women are not honest with themselves. They're like, oh, I don't have a list. I just want a man who's good in character. We hear that all the time from our clients when they come into WynnAtLove. And when you have a man who meets all of your standards, but he was not as attractive as she may have liked, she's like, oh, I wasn't attracted to him. It's like, wait. You said that none of this mattered. And it's a lie, right? It's a lie. So just don't lie to yourself. Just be honest and know what you actually want. So as far as chasing, okay, what you could do is you could really bulldoze your way through to find what you're looking for. Now, I must warn you that this, I believe, has the lowest success rate, even though this is how most women enter the date to marry market. Most women have a laundry list of expectations, and they think, like I said, they have access to a certain type of man, and they are chasing that type of man, which sure, you might find him, but what I tell women is to look for 80%. And a lot of women think that is settling, right? But the issue is that you're never going to find 100%. There's no perfect person to marry unless if he's Jesus and you want to be a nun. So if you're not trying to be a nun, you have to accept a flawed individual, a flawed sinner who's just like you, right? Water seeks its own level. And the issue with this method is it does not take into account what the man that you want is looking for. I think with this strategy, a lot of women are disillusioned to believe that there are more of this type of men on the market than there actually are, A, and B, that those type of men in the market should automatically want them. Because again, we're not taught to think about competition. We're not taught to think about hierarchy and where we are. We're not taught to be realistic. We're taught to have faith and that God will give you the desires of your heart, but we're not taught that in the context of marriage, that the man has is his own desires as well. It's like getting a job. We wouldn't sit here and say, I deserve a six-figure job, even though you don't have any qualifications for the job that you are seeking for, hoping for, applying for. If you don't have what the employer is looking for, we can't just say that I'm going to have enough faith, I'm going to have enough faith, which you could. Maybe if you had no skills at all and there was this high paying job, and if you applied enough pressure, you can get it, but that's extremely low success rate. And the issue is that most women think that they are special snowflakes, right? Everyone thinks that I am special, I'm the special one, and I'm the one who's going to have this type of man or this type of outcome, even though there's a low success rate. It's kind of like playing the lottery, right? Now, do people win the lottery? Obviously, they do, but is it the best strategy? I don't think so. So, when it comes to the type of man that you want, you could keep rejecting men who are at your level, and you can try to chase men that you like, but that is not a strategy that we recommend women to take in our program. One of our winning mindsets is to entertain men who like you, don't chase men that you like, because men have to be the pursuer and men have to take charge and control and leadership when it comes to dating and marriage, right? They're the ones who are looking for a wife. They're the ones who propose. They're the ones who are covering a woman. They're the ones who are the head of the household. So you really want to allow men to stay in that role, and for you to simply be chosen by a man and accept or deny his pursuit, but not be the pursuer. But I just had to mention this because I know most women do this. This is I would say, bad strategy. Okay? Strategy with a sad face. Okay? Now, again, you can do whatever you want. You could be the one in a million that works, but I just wouldn't recommend it. Now, the last strategy that you can take when you enter into the dating market is to level up. So this takes this into account, but considers what the man wants, right? Considers not just having access to those type of men, right? Because this can still get you access to higher quality men, right? No doubt. I'm pretty sure that if you tried hard enough, you'll find a man who is 6 foot, six figure, six pack, whatever, the 666 number, whatever, right? You might find a high value man, the man that you like, the man who's so handsome, who has so much swag, so much riz, who has a good paying job, but the issue is competition. Now, might he pick you out of all the women that he has access to? Anything could happen, but why would he? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. If you want to get a better outcome in the dating market, you have to ask yourself, what does he want? Over here, you don't have to change a thing. Okay? If you want to stay the same, if you want to keep dressing how you're dressing as a woman, if you don't want to change your mindset, you don't want to learn femininity, you're just like, hey, I just got to get married today, or yesterday rather. I don't have time to do all this personal work and self-development. I just need to get married, and marriage is your goal, and maybe you are getting older and you really want to have a child sometime soon before your fertile years end, then I would say this is the highest, how do I say it? Highest success rate. Okay, right here. This is where you want to stay. Accept the men who want you. Okay, the men who have good character, but they're probably not making as much as you wanted to. They're probably not that tall. If you're already attracting a certain type of man, I would say pick from the best bunch. But if you have some time and you want to attract a higher caliber of men, maybe the men that you're attracting right now, you're not really feeling, and you want to attract a certain caliber of men, then you should level up. Now, the pros and cons of this strategy, I would say the pros are that you can attract who you want, right? If you wanted a certain type of man, you can attract him, okay? You can get what you want. You can get the handsome man. You can get the man who is making more money. You can get the man who all the women want. However, the cons is this takes a lot of work and intentionality that I don't think women are ready for. This takes things like you have to level up physically, okay? And when I say physically, a lot of women, this is the easiest one, but a lot of women try to ignore this and they say, but I have a good heart. He can't see it. He doesn't know you, right? I always say that looks get you through the door and personality is what keeps you in the door, or it keeps you in the room rather. Looks are not the first thing. Looks are not the only thing, but they're the first thing. So the higher up you go, I have to be very honest with you, men are a lot more pickier. You think women are picky? You think women are picky? No. Men are extremely pickier the more options that they have. So most men, the higher up you go, have a weight preference. Majority. I would say 99.8% of them have a weight preference, and it's a lot less than women's standards. Let me just say that. It is a lot lower than women's standards. So for a lot of women, we're like, oh, but she's fine. She's cute. Yeah, maybe she got a little bit of chub, but it's okay. Men of a higher socioeconomic class will not tolerate that. Okay. If they cannot take you out to the work function, the country club, to all these places where they are going to be interacting with other higher quality men, then they're not going to accept a woman. Usually, even if, but they're not going to accept a woman who is just dressing anyhow, lacks intentionality, doesn't look classy, is not their type, is not slim, does not value and invest in her beauty. Men are not going to accept that. And again, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm a girl's girl, but ultimately, I'm just telling you what you're going to encounter the higher up you go. There will be a higher emphasis placed on your physicality and beauty. So be prepared for that. Another thing you have to do to level up is, mentally. Okay, so I would say this might be the most difficult thing to level up because your mindset starts to get fixed the older you get. You would really need to go to therapy, right? If you have a lot of maladaptive practices, if you grew up in extremely difficult circumstances, you should definitely consider getting a licensed therapist. Mentally is also when it comes to femininity, and that is something that most women don't have, unfortunately. So a man is going to want you to think like a feminine woman, to be cooperative, to be peaceful. So again, if you don't have a lot of good social skills, or you don't have skills that will mesh well with a man, it's going to be difficult for him to accept you. And I would say emotionally, you have to level up emotionally. And this is also very difficult for women because you have to master emotional intelligence. Because men, and this kind of goes into femininity, men don't want to be with another man. They don't want to be with a woman who's very robotic, who's very stoic, things like that. And also, I would say a woman who knows how to regulate her own emotions, not a woman who does not know how to manage her own emotions, is extremely unattractive for most men. Again, the higher up you go, the more is demanded. Let me not say demanded, excuse me. The more that is expected of you. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'd say spiritually is probably the last one, because since men know that they're supposed to be the ones that are leading, they don't really expect the woman to, like, it's good if you are a prayer warrior and you lead in church and you do missions and you do these different things. That's great. But since a man is supposed to carry that weight, it doesn't hold as much water for men the higher up you go. Again, it's a plus, but it's not what men are looking for. If men had to choose, really, what do they want? A hot woman who respects and submits to them. But here we are in 2024 going into 2025. So I would say this strategy, if you want to take the strategy, I would recommend to not take yourself off the dating market for an extended period of time to do this, because that's just my philosophy. As a woman, I don't think that women should take themselves off the dating market for too long, because we are constrained by time. And once you start to move past your prime as a woman, and not your prime to yourself, because you could be having fun, woo, and I'm making money. I'm talking about your prime to men. Because remember, this is all about marrying a man. Okay. Now, if you're an individual, obviously none of this stuff matters to you. If you want to be celibate, if you want to be single, this is probably not even the video for you. But if you want to marry a man and you are interacting with a modern day man, this is how it's probably going to pan out. So I would say level up and date at the same time, because you may never feel fully prepared for that higher quality man. You just have to take your shot. Okay. Take your shot and see where it's going to go. Accept the date. If you start attracting better quality men, just accept the date. If you make a mistake, you learn from it, you grow, and you keep developing yourself. But this, I would say, has the second highest success rate. Less than this, definitely less than this. This is the easiest. This is the easiest, okay? Because men who like you already accept you as you are. You don't have to do any of these things, right? If you don't like wearing elegant clothes, you want to be more comfy, you want a man who's going to like you for you, you want to, you don't want to be a stick like me, right? You don't want to do all these different things just to get a certain quality of man to accept you, then just right here. These men probably will already see you as their dream girl. But if you wanted to chase and not change, worst strategy. It's either you accept or you change, right? And the option is yours. Just know these are the three main strategies that you can take when it comes to the dating market in 2025. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think that it's better for women to accept the men who want them? Do you think that women should chase and not have to change anything about them and just see if they can find a higher quality man who will accept them? Or do you think it's the best strategy, or maybe it's too much? Maybe you think that trying to level up and trying to get a man of a different caliber to like you is too much, and that's going against your own morals because you want to be accepted. Let me know what you think about this. Comment below, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.